Imagine this. You're standing at the altar, about to marry the love of your life. 200 guests are watching. Your dream day is happening. And then your best friend, the person you've trusted your entire life, stands up and announces that she's pregnant with your fiancé's baby. Right there, at the altar, in front of everyone. How would you respond? Would you break down? Would you run? Or would you fight? But what if? What if you already knew and you let it happen that way because you knew what was coming? That's exactly what happened in today's story. And the consequences that followed, nobody saw it coming.
Everyone waited for me to fall apart. That's what they expected. That's what everyone in that church thought would happen when my best friend stood up and announced she was pregnant with my fiancé's baby. I was standing at the altar in a white dress. My father had just walked me down the aisle. My mother was crying. Happy tears, she thought. The groom looked nervous, but in love. Everything was perfect. Everything was exactly how it was supposed to be. And then Sarah stood up. She was my best friend since we were 7 years old. We had done everything together. We had promised to be there for each other no matter what. And now she was walking toward the altar like she owned the place. The officiant looked confused. "Is there an objection?" he asked. "Not an objection," Sarah said. She was smiling, actually smiling. An announcement. My heart stopped, but not because I was shocked. I already knew what was coming. "I'm pregnant," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "And the baby is his." She pointed at my fiancé. His name was Michael, and yes, he was the father. The room erupted. People gasped, some cried out. My mother let out a sound like she had been physically hit. My father stood up, his face turning red. The guests behind me started whispering frantically. Michael's face went white. He looked at me, he looked at Sarah, he looked like he wanted to disappear into the ground. And me, I just stood there, calm, still, quiet. Sarah's smile faltered for just a second. She was expecting me to scream. She was expecting me to cry right there in front of 200 people, but I didn't. I looked her dead in the eye, and I smiled back. Because she had no idea what was about to happen. 3 weeks before that wedding day, I found everything. It started with a text message. Michael's phone was on the kitchen counter and a notification popped up. It was from Sarah. The message said, "Can't wait for tomorrow. He's going to lose his mind when he sees that I'm wearing." I didn't want to look, but I did. One text turned into 20. 20 turned into 100. Photos, dates, times, everything documented in plain sight because they were both stupid enough to think I'd never check. Coldly, bitterly, the affair had been going on for 6 months. 6 months while I was planning a wedding. 6 months while Sarah was my maid of honor. 6 months while Michael was telling me he loved me every single day. And the pregnancy, it was planned. They had planned it together. They wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. They wanted me to find out at the worst possible moment, at my own wedding. I consented Michael that night. I showed him the messages, I showed him the photos. I watched his face crumble as he realized there was nowhere to hide. He broke down. He cried. He begged me to forgive him. He said he wanted to call off the wedding. He said he couldn't go through with it. He said he was a terrible person and didn't deserve me. And I said something that surprised us both. Coldly, razor sharp, "We're still getting married," I told him. He looked at me like I was insane. "What? Why would you?" "Because," I said, "I want everyone to see who you really are, and I want her to face what she's done." I told him I already knew about the pregnancy announcement. I told him I had seen the texts where Sarah was planning exactly when and how to do it. I told him I knew everything. He tried to stop her. He texted Sarah, he called her, he begged her not to do it. He said the wedding was off, that he had confessed, that there was no point in the announcement anymore. But Sarah didn't care. She wanted the attention. She wanted to be the one with power. She wanted to destroy me publicly, and she wasn't going to let Michael's cowardice stop her. So I made a decision. I decided to let it all play out. I decided to let them walk into the trap they had set for themselves, because I had something they didn't have. I had the truth, and I had proof. The moment Sarah finished her announcement, the church went silent. 200 people were staring at me, waiting to see if I would break, waiting to see if I would cry, waiting to see if I would run away. I took a breath. I looked at Sarah. Then I looked at Michael, and I spoke. "I have something to say," I said. My voice was calm, clear, strong. "I know about the affair. I know about the pregnancy. I have every text message, every photo, and every admission you both made." Sarah's smile disappeared instantly. "I discovered this 3 weeks ago," I continued. "I've known the entire time. I know when it started. I know where you met. I know what you plan to do today." Michael looked like he was going to pass out. "But here's what you didn't know," I said. "I documented everything. I have screenshots, I have recordings, I have proof of every lie you both told me." I pulled out my phone. I walked over to the officiant and showed him the messages. His face went pale. He looked at Michael like he had never seen him before. "This isn't about love," I said, speaking to everyone in that church now. "This isn't about a mistake. This is calculated, it's cruel, and this is over." Sarah tried to speak. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. "I understand that you betrayed me, that you lied to me, that you planned to humiliate me on the day I was supposed to celebrate my life." I looked down at the diamond ring on my finger. Then I took it off. "I'm calling off this wedding," I said, "not because I'm broken, not because you won, but because I refuse to marry someone who betrays me, and I refuse to protect people who don't deserve my protection." I threw the ring to the ground. It hit the marble floor with a sound that echoed through the entire church. Security moved in immediately. They escorted Michael and Sarah out of the building. Michael was trying to grab my arm, begging me to listen. Sarah was crying, saying my name over and over. But I didn't look at them. I didn't say another word. As I walked out of that church, my mother grabbed my hand. My father put his arm around me, and for the first time that day, I felt free. The real karma was just beginning, and it was going to be far worse than anything I could have planned. The video of my speech went viral within 48 hours. Someone in the church had recorded everything. By the next morning, millions of people had seen it. News outlets picked it up, social media exploded. My wedding day became a worldwide story about betrayal and justice. But here's the thing about karma. It doesn't need you to take action. It works on its own. Within a week, Michael's company launched an investigation. They discovered that the affair had happened during work events. He had been using company time, company resources, and company connections to meet Sarah. The company didn't care that he was devastated or that he was sorry. They fired him immediately. And not just fired, they blacklisted him. They sent letters to every major company in the industry. Nobody wanted to hire him. Nobody wanted to touch him. His career was over. Sarah's situation was even worse. Her employers saw the viral video. They didn't want to be associated with someone who betrayed their best friend so publicly. She was fired 2 days after Michael, but she also lost her apartment. She lost her savings trying to fight the wrongful termination lawsuit, and she lost custody of her other child from a previous relationship. Her ex-partner used the viral video against her in family court. He showed the judge that she had poor judgment and questionable character. He showed the judge that she was someone who would betray anyone for her own selfish desires. The judge sided with him. Sarah was only allowed supervised visitation with her own child. Friends distanced themselves from both of them. People they had known for years blocked them on social media. Strangers recognized them on the street and confronted them. Neither of them could go anywhere without being reminded of what they had done. 3 months after the wedding, Sarah reached out to me. She was desperate. She had lost everything. She begged for forgiveness. I responded with one message. I forgave you the moment you betrayed me, but I won't protect you from the consequences of your own choices. And that was it. I moved forward. I started dating someone new, someone who actually respects me, someone who would never betray me. I went back to school, I built a career, I built a life. Michael and Sarah faded away. They became cautionary tales. Years later, I ran into Michael at a grocery store. He was working a minimum wage job. He looked broken. He tried to speak to me, but I just nodded and walked past. They tried to destroy me with cruelty. Instead, they destroyed themselves, and I didn't have to do a single thing. That's what karma really is.
Okay, so that story, that's a real example of karma at work. And I've been thinking about it a lot. What strikes me most is that she didn't have to do anything. She didn't have to plot revenge. She didn't have to scheme or manipulate. She just had to tell the truth, and everything else fell into place. But here's what I'm wrestling with. Was she right to go through with the wedding if she already knew? Should she have called it off immediately? Or was she right to let them expose themselves in front of everyone? And here's the thing. There's power in both choices. There's power in walking away quietly, and there's power in standing firm and letting the truth come out publicly. I'm just not too sure which one is right. What I do know is that she didn't become bitter. She didn't become angry for years. She didn't let this destroy who she was. She faced the betrayal, she told the truth, and she moved on. And I think that's what saved her. Karma isn't about punishment. It isn't about making sure bad people suffer. It is about consequences. It's about the universe balancing itself out. You know, when you lie, eventually the truth comes out. When you betray someone, eventually you face what you have done. But the real lesson here is, the real power is in walking away clean. It's in choosing yourself over the lie. It's in telling the truth when it's terrifying. And here's what I want to ask you. Do you think she handled it the right way? Would you have gone through with the wedding knowing what she knew? Or would you have called it off immediately? Have you ever had someone betray you and then watched karma take care of the rest? Tell me your story in the comments. If this story resonated with you, please like the video, subscribe for more stories about karma, justice, and what happens when people face the consequences of their own choices. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.